Hi guys, it's Lily the Vegan Organizer, and I wanted to give you an update of my Hobonichi Cousin, which I've been using as my main everyday work planner. Primarily work, but just my kind of everyday all-around planner. So I've been using this since I think the end of February, and it's been amazing and I love it, and it's fantastic. So I think I've been using it for long enough that I've got some stuff to show you. So first of all, as you'll know if you saw my last setup, I put two pens in the pen loop, so I don't mind not being able to close it. In fact, I find it convenient just being able to open it straight away without unhooking the pen from the pen loop. And I like having two pens in it because that means that I can use my Muji 0.4 pen. That's what this is. Sorry, that's kind of blurry, but this works really well because it fits the Hobonichi stencils, which I've been using, and I'll show you that in a minute. So this is an erasable pen. Yes, I was really delighted when I found that Muji has erasable pens. They're just like friction pens. They erase using this. They're identical to friction pens as far as I can tell, except that they're smaller, 0.4 instead of 0.7, so they fit better in the stencils. And also they're kind of like slimmer, so the normal, the friction pens fit fine in these pen loops as well, so it's not an issue for Hobonichis, but I'm also using them on some of my other planners, like Filofax, where the pen loops are smaller, so it's useful for that as well. And they have like a whole range of different colors. They have like purple and blue and well, light blue and dark blue and green, so they're great. And then in the other pen loop I have a red friction. I think when I last showed this video I was using a highlighter, a friction highlighter, and then I decided that it was actually more useful to have this in it, for reasons that I'll show you later, because I've sort of evolved the system with stickers where I don't need the highlighter anymore. Anyway, so that's what I've got in the pen loops, and then if we open it, ta-da! Stickers! So this is kind of a new thing for me. I'm really excited about having these awesome stickers. On one of my many Hobonichi orders, I ordered these stickers which are called, I think one of them is called, they have like an odd name, like one set is kind of like pastel and the other set is sort of brighter colors, and one is called like daily and the other one is called holiday or something, but they're basically they're the same. They're just see-through dot stickers, and they're small ones and big ones, and I love these, and now I can't imagine how I ever lived without them, and I'm addicted to them. And I placed a gigantic order on Kawaii Tokyo shop on Etsy, because that seems to be the only other place where I could find them apart from the Hobonichi shop. And she has a whole bunch of different colors. So I don't really care that much about the colors. I'm trying to work out a color coding system, but I haven't quite got there yet, so I'll show you that when we get to it. But I just really like the fact that they're see-through, and I like the fact that they're small ones and big ones, and they're just the right size for highlighting times in the weekly section of the Hobonichi. So I love these. And then I've also got these. These are from Paper Chase, and it's 100 page markers in different colors. And these are amazing as well. So I'm sort of using a combination of these see-through dot stickers with the page markers to just sort of enjoy my spot in Planner Nirvana, which is what I think I have here, as much as anyone can ever have that, I guess. And then I've got two Hobonichi stencils. So this is the basic one. So let me just move this to the side so you can see it better. This is the green one, which has got all kinds of different like kind of geometric shapes. So I use it mainly for these little check boxes which fit exactly inside the Hobonichi square. So they're amazing because you can just draw a whole line of check boxes, and then you've got like kind of pre-made to-do lists. I also use the circle, and I'd kind of like to experiment with some of the other ones like the star, but so far it's quite basic, so I'll show you that again when we get to it. It's got all of these other things as well, which I think are cool, but I haven't figured out what to do with them, like a dotted line, numbers, like speech bubble, and this timeline. So anyway, this is a great stencil for just like kind of everyday sort of planning facilitation, I guess. And then there's this one, which I like the idea, but I haven't quite worked out how to use it yet in my planner. I guess because being a work planner, I don't need a lot of these things. So like it's got some weather stuff, sun, cloud, rain, snow, which I don't track the weather, so I don't really need that. And then it has some emotions, which I think are cool, but smile, angry, sad, wow. Like again, I don't know. I'd like to use it, but I haven't yet. And then it's got walk, run, challenge, flower, which I really don't know how to use, but like again, I like the idea. And then it's got some transport, which I could use because like if I go somewhere, so I don't go anywhere very often, but occasionally I go to like conferences, so I could put the plane next to like the time that I'm going away, or the train. In fact, I'm going to a conference in Worcester in the Midlands at the end of June, and I could use the train symbol for that. And then I've got like book, shopping, music, and some other stuff like cup, drink, which like again not hugely useful for me, but I think I might be able to find a way to use them. So I'm just keeping that in there until inspiration strikes. So that's what I've got in this pocket. And then here I've got some other see-through dot stickers. So I was just so taken with these see-through dot stickers that I scoured the internet trying to find more places where you could get them or ones like them. And on Amazon I found 2 different types. So these ones are Avery, which as far as I can tell we can't get in the UK. I couldn't find them on any of the stationery shops like Ryman's or Staples. I could only find them on Amazon, and they came from the US. So the stickers themselves weren't that expensive, but with shipping they were quite expensive. So I don't think that this is a great solution, but because I can't live without them, I think I'm going to have to accept the fact that I'm going to pay more than I should for them because I can't find another way to get them. So if anyone knows where to get see-through dot stickers in the UK, please let me know because I will be extremely grateful. So these seem to be the same. I haven't tried them out yet, but I did put a couple down just to see if they really were see-through, and they are. They're not quite as pretty as the Hobonichi ones that you'll see soon, but they still do the same job and they're a good size. And then there are these ones, which are tiny, and I haven't tried these yet, and these come in a whole bunch of different colors. So you can see here, this is the range, they have like a whole sort of rainbow. And these are really small, so these might actually be a bit too small, but I think I can still use them. And again, I got these from Amazon, but they came from the US. So if you're in the US, you have got a lot of options if you want see-through dot stickers. So rejoice in that fact. So I'm just keeping them in here for when I need them, but hopefully my Kawaii Tokyo order will come through, and that will keep me with a good supply of these kind of stickers for ages because I love them. And then I've got this. This is just a sticker from a vegan shop in London called Vegan Cross, and I'm just keeping this in here until I remember to stick it on the door of my office at university the next time I go in. And then I've got a little bit of decoration here. I don't use this as a dashboard, I guess because I'm not really that familiar with the sort of Filofax, like ring planner style of planning, so I've never sort of had the concept of a dashboard until sort of just from watching YouTube videos recently. So I just put a bit of decoration on. So this is, you might have seen this before, this is my Orcish Librarian, and I've just put a bit of washi tape on and some My Little Pony stickers. And then this is one of the Paper Chase arrow marking stickers that is just an extra one. They're repositionable, so I've only used a couple of them, and this one was just an extra one that I used for something, and I'm keeping it here until I need it again. Then this is the Secret Society of Vegans, which is again from that same shop in King's Cross, and so I just put that here. And then I put this quote from Buddha, which I really like: "The mind is everything, what you think you become." So it's just kind of like a sort of motivational page here. I've like stuck sort of some other like kind of motivational things on here. And this is the Year at a Glance calendar, which I'm just using mostly to mark off days. So when it gets to the end of the week, I mark off the week. And I'm also using it to mark like kind of chunks of time when I'll be away. So like for example, here, this is the beginning of June. I'm not away here, but I'm teaching a summer course, so it's just to sort of let me know that this week I'm kind of like sort of busy. I've got like one thing going on, well, in addition like to my sort of normal other things. And then these are some important dates. This is like the date of our sort of final examiners meeting for our degrees, and our department is going away on this day. And then I'm like away in Cambridge here and teaching another summer course here. So I've just kind of marked off some like sort of bigger chunks of time so that I can see them at a glance. Obviously I'm not using the 2014 calendar, and I haven't done anything with the 2016 calendar. I don't think there's much you can really do with this because it's so small, except I guess with the tiny dot stickers I could mark things, so that's something to look forward to. Then for the vertical months, which I really like, I marked off this one. This is April. So at the top in the check boxes I put in sort of like major research projects that I'm doing. Not only research, but because I do like research, teaching, admin, and sort of various other projects, it's kind of always a mix of things. So these are like the bigger things that I've got on my mind. So this is a book, this is an article, I've been editing a book, and then there's another like kind of book project that I'm working on with a colleague. So these are the things that I'm supposed to keep in mind, like I really have to do them. And then I sort of just map out like sort of for each day, day by day, like what I hope to be able to get done in those days, so I can look at the month at a glance and see like here this was supposed to be editing, this was supposed to be this book review that I was doing. Sometimes often it doesn't go according to plan, so like I had all of these ideas for stuff that I was supposed to be doing here and that didn't work out, and I haven't filled in anything from May yet, so because we're actually now a week into May, I really have to fill in May. I think in the Hobonichi I don't use this section as much as I used to use the equivalent when I had a Moleskine last year, because the Hobonichi's got the months and the weeks, and so I guess I don't need it as much, but I still like to have it filled in because it's another way to sort of organize things. And I haven't filled in anything really in the coming months except for the main things that I plan to be doing. And I actually find this really useful because it's just a very quick, like, what are the main projects that I'm supposed to be doing in June and July, and like, am I actually going to have time to do them, and so I can sort of keep tabs on them. So if we go to the monthly spread, this first month, this is February, this is the month that the Spring Cousin starts the monthly spreads on. I was using this as a weekly because I started this in the last week of February, and this was the only like kind of spread that I could use. So that's not really representative. But this one, March, this is where it starts to get kind of pretty representative. So what I usually do for the monthly spread is I do some like forward planning, so I'll write down things like, for example, let's say this is June. So this is one of the summer courses that I mentioned, so I've just put in that that's going to be there, and then other major appointments, things that I already know about in advance, and I find this really useful for booking appointments, because instead of going to the weekly spread, which is, you know, what I would have done in my old planner, I can just go to this and look on one page, and then I can see everything that's going on in this month. So I have to be really careful about writing in like all appointments so that I can see when I'm free to book new things, so I really like that. And then when the month comes, or really like sort of when the week comes, I write in the sort of main things that I'm going to be doing during the week, and sometimes even like sort of a day ahead, because sometimes I don't know everything that I'm going to be doing. Quite often actually it only turns out like, you know, the day before or a couple of days before that I end up getting like more appointments and agreeing to more things, and so often sort of my projected plan doesn't work out because I end up having to do extra stuff that I wasn't expecting. So I write all of that in, and then I can just like see in a really compact way, this is what I'm doing tomorrow, okay. It's not really necessary because I've got pretty much the same thing in the weekly spread, but I just like having it in this like kind of thumbnail version. And then at the end of the day I cross it off, and that's quite satisfying. And if I haven't done something, then either usually I just leave it, sometimes I put an arrow next to it. So I don't know if you can see that. This one, I was supposed to mark some exams, and it's got an arrow next to it because I didn't manage to do it then. Then I go back and cross it off later, just because it's satisfying to get to cross things off multiple times. So that was March, and then April was relatively empty because I wasn't teaching. The teaching term had stopped by then. And so there was like Passover, and then I went to visit my mum, where I was working, but I was like working on this editing project, so it wasn't like I needed to keep track of a lot of things, so this is reasonably blank. And then you can see this is where I got back, and the third term started, so I had some stuff there. And then I also put here things like, these were some books I had to get from the library for a particular project I was working on, and I wasn't sure when I was going to get to be able to do it, so I put it on the monthly spread rather than on one of the weekly spreads, because I had the feeling that it might take me more than a week to do it, and so I just left it there so that I didn't have to keep rewriting it or like go back to look in one of the earlier weeks. And at the top left here, just like in the vertical monthly spread, I put in all of the main things that I'm supposed to be doing that month. So like again, like this is just another place where I can see like, yeah, I should really be keeping these things in mind and trying to fit them in. Because often with my job, it's the research aspect which is the hardest to fit in, because like if you get appointments and teaching and revision lessons and admin, those things like kind of have to be done at a certain time, and so it's easy to just like sort of let your week fill up with that type of thing and then not have enough room for the rest of the stuff, so I have to be careful to try to safeguard time for that. And this is the current month, this is May, so what I do is I use one of these page markers to mark the week, and I usually put it on the sort of Sunday towards the end of the week, because that's when I don't have as much stuff, like external stuff like appointments going on, so it doesn't get in the way. But before I was putting it on here, but then sometimes that could get in the way because it's nice to have this space to write things. So like for example, these are all of the things I'm supposed to be doing in May, so I've just put them there using, you see these, this is from the Hobonichi stencil, the check boxes, so I love these, they work really well. When I've done something, I just cross it off instead of ticking the box, which may make it seem like a bit odd. Why would I bother using a tick box if I don't actually tick the boxes? But for some reason it works better for me, or it's more satisfying to cross off the whole thing, and I find it easier to see what I've done and what I haven't done than if I just tick the box, because then like you still see the thing that's there, and I don't know, I like the idea of ticking boxes, but instead I just always end up crossing them off. Sometimes I cross them off and tick the box, which is like doubly satisfying, but I haven't done that here. So these are all things that I have to do this month, and then again, like this is just day by day. Yeah, here this was like exciting. I went to Muji to buy pens, so that was cool. And the rest of this is all just work stuff. And then I've sort of like planned forward for the next few months. So I've done the list for June and July and August. This is a summer course. Then it gets a bit more patchy because I'm not quite as sure what's going to be happening. So I've applied for research leave for next year, and depending on if I get it, that will sort of influence things like whether I'm teaching or not, so we'll see. And then we get to the beginning of the weekly spread. So I love the weekly spread in the Hobonichi. I think like this is just awesome. This is one of my favorite things, one of my many favorite things about it. So the weekly spread, again, you've got the space on the left to like sort of write down general things that have to be done during the week. So usually I keep this just for things that have to be done at some point during the week, but that I'm not sure which day I'm going to get to them on, so that I can just keep them there, and it's an easy like way to remind myself. So like for example here, I had a Welsh assignment for this online course, and I put it there so that I could remember to do it because it was due at the end of the week. And then when I first started using this, I was just kind of writing in things that I had to do at the top in the checkboxes, but that didn't have to be done in a specific time. Sometimes I find that 3 is not enough, unsurprisingly, for that, so I end up like kind of putting in more checkboxes down here at times when I'm not usually going to have to be making appointments like at night, because there's quite a lot of room if you use it like that, and you've got this extra blank space at the bottom as well. And then sometimes I bump things, so like for example I had to do my US taxes, and I kept bumping that, so I put an arrow next to it, and then I have to rewrite it somewhere else. So it was working quite well like that for a while. So here, this is where I started using the tick boxes, just adding in extra things, because like I knew that at this point I wasn't going to have to do anything. sometimes it can go wrong, and it turns out that I do have to book an appointment in a place where I've just put some tick boxes, and then I can just erase them because they're erasable pens, so it's not too much of a problem. Sometimes I put extra details, so like here I had to go to the library to check this book, and so I put in the details of the book there because it seemed to, like, why not? Because usually on most weeks I end up with quite a lot of room here, so I might as well use this for things that might not fit as conveniently in the day. But you can see, like, depending on what the day's like, sometimes there's a lot of extra space, and so I can use that later in the week and write stuff there and, like, circle it. But I don't think I've ever ended up having to do that, which is amazing, considering, like, you'd think that would happen. But it's nice to know that I could do it, but also I think it's nice not having to use previous days, because then it might be harder to, like, find where you'd put something. This is something I started to do in this week. This was near the beginning of April. I started to sort of mark water intake, which is something I'd seen on a lot of videos, and so I drink 3 liters of water a day. So it's really easy with the boxes because you can just draw, kind of draw around 1 box, 2 box, 3 boxes, and then that's it. So then I would write 1, 2, 3, and then cross off 1, cross off 2, cross off 3. Then I started using X's because that was easier. And on days when I don't have appointments, I just use it as a kind of free space. So I'd write in things that I had to do. And then this was I was packing to go visit my mum, so things to remember to pack. Things to buy from the shop for some particular recipe that we were going to make. And I find that there's generally enough room for everything. But this is a time when I wasn't teaching. And then this week even more, so this is when I was at my mum's, so there was really very little that I had to record here. So this is sort of a sad, empty week. And then this one, I didn't do the water intake this week, but it's back here. So I like this. It's just kind of another satisfying thing to get to cross off, and it's easier to remember it because sometimes I'd lose track, even though it's only 3 litres and I've got a litre bottle, so you'd think it wouldn't be that hard, but often I'd forget, was that 1 or 2 litres? So if I mark it down, then I don't forget. And then this is where it really gets interesting, because when I came back, the see-through stickers had arrived, the Hobonichi stickers, and so I started to use them, and this is the beginning of a system which I think is really going to work, and I'm really happy with this, and it's amazing. I love it. So what I'm doing is, and this is I think a more typical week because term had started again, so I was doing vision lessons and kind of things became busier. So I'll put the check boxes in for things that I have to do, and then cross them off when I've done them. And then for meetings and appointments, I put in, see this one. This started at 3:30. So the Hobonichi gives you a space, every hour is written and it gives you a space, a line for every half hour. So I write in the time when the thing is starting. I've actually stopped writing in this now, writing in the 30, so this was 15:30, 3:30. I just kind of make a line here and then kind of draw down and then make another line where it ends, and it's really easy to see because if you've got 15 and then another line, you know that that's 3:30, and then you can sort of draw when it ends at 5:30, so that just works really well. I can see that that's halfway between 5 and 6, and because you've got the grids, it makes it easy to sort of make a neat line, so I can see that's how long that thing lasts. And so I've just started putting the stickers kind of over the line where the thing starts, if that makes sense. And originally I was trying to color code, so I was making pink classes that I was teaching, classes and student-related stuff, and then I think I was making orange non-university-related things, and green other university-related stuff, but not teaching. And then it just I couldn't keep track of it, and I haven't mastered the color coding yet. So this is all kind of a big mess. The color coding is not really working. And also, you know, like then if you have more teaching, then you end up using more pink stickers, and then you run out of the pink stickers more quickly, and the rest of the stickers are left. So I haven't quite worked that out. I know that there must be a way to do it, but I'm still working on it. And then I was using the big stickers for things that I have to remember. So, like for example, I had to leave a key for someone, or here I had to remember to bring my laptop in to university. So I was using the big ones for things to remember and the small ones for appointments. And that was working okay, but I guess the problem with it is that they're too similar, so it's like you might look at this and sort of at a glance like not notice that this is big and this is small and forget that this is something that you have to bring. And that was solved when I discovered the page markers, because the page markers are giant, and I'll show you them. I think one's coming up in the next week. And so then I moved over to, let's see, my current system. This is the week that's just ending. So I've got the stickers for all the appointments, and then I've got the checklist, and then I cross things off, and then I've got the page markers for things I have to remember. Normally I would put them like that. For some reason I had that there, I think because I didn't want it to get in the way of anything. So this is like just a big giant remember sign, so it's really, really hard to miss this. So this is just like remember, and at the moment I've got a very rudimentary color coding system where blue is for things that are not work related, and pink is for things that are work related. So it's just like, remember to do this. You don't have to be anywhere, but remember it. No, sorry, I'm wrong. See, I'm still learning my system, even though it's so simple. Blue is for things that I have to remember, and pink is for the next place that I have to be. So this is like, this is the next time you have to be out, and this is the next thing you have to remember. That's how it works. It's not work related or non-work related. See, it's like new system. It's still confusing, but I'm getting there. So then I elaborated a sort of a refined version of this stencil system here, where before I was just using the checkboxes for everything I had to do, and then I thought it would be nice to make a separation between work things and non-work things. So I'm using the checkboxes for work things, and then I started using this circle for non-work things. So like, for example, if you see this one, practice Welsh, this Welsh course that I'm taking is not work related, it's for fun, so that gets a circle. And like here, we had elections in Britain on Thursday, so that was like, remember to vote, not work related. And go to Muji, that was fun. So yeah, I'm working on the color coding system, but the most recent thing that I've thought of for these stickers is to use the small ones for things that are only supposed to last like an hour, or maybe up to 2 hours, and the big ones for ones that are supposed to last longer. So I thought that might be a more useful way of making the distinction between the big and small stickers, now that I'm not using the big ones for things I have to remember anymore. And then another detail that I evolved was, so if I do the task, then I cross it off. As you can see, all of these are crossed off. If I don't do it, I put an arrow next to it, and then I rewrite it, but I thought the arrow is like, well, I don't know, just as a safeguard in case I forget to rewrite it. Usually I rewrite it on the next day at the same time that I put the arrow, so it's not generally a problem. But I thought it would also be nice, and I got this idea from another channel whose name I can't remember at the moment. So it's one of the very few planning Hobonichi channels, so I'll find it and link it below, because she had this interesting system where she marks something that she hasn't finished in red with a red star, and then she goes back at the end of the week to check how many red stars there are, and then it's like an extra way of sort of flagging up things that have to be done. So I thought that that would be sort of a more efficient use of the second pen loop, now that I don't have the highlighter in it, because I think with this whole system, with the markers, I think these markers work better than the highlighter did, because they're so like bang, like, you know, they're in your face, more than the highlighter was. I've got some things highlighted back here, so like Like for example, that was a highlighter. It was okay, but I don't know, I like this better, and now that I'm really into stickers, I like getting to use stickers. So so I started doing that. And then when I finally do the thing, then I erase it, because this is erasable as well. This was one that I just never did. I was supposed to do Russian homework for my Russian class, and I just didn't do it, so oh well, it wasn't vital. So if that were now that I've evolved my new stencil system, this would have been a circle, so I know that generally that like they're not as urgent if they're circles. Yeah, so that's a sort of current reminder appointment type system. So like for example, this thing goes for a whole day, so I've put that as a big sticker, but we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure with the color coding and everything. It might sort of end up being too complicated, but we'll see. I like the sort of the general principle is just like, I love this because it adds a bit of color. Because as you can see, I don't decorate this at all, and that's because it's my work planner, and I don't have time. I really only have time to decorate on Saturdays, which is like kind of my day off, and so I don't know, this doesn't feel like a sort of decorating type thing to me. This is just like practical, and I really like it. I love it. I think it's beautiful, but I just don't feel like decorating it. So this is a way of like kind of giving it some color, and also being functional. So that's how I use the weekly spread. And that goes on until here. And then I've made the daily pages into a reference section, because I don't really need to do any more planning on the daily pages, but what I do need for work is like a place where I can write notes. Sometimes notes of things that happen, like sort of in meetings in my department, notes of things that I'm planning, like projects, meetings I've had with students, like all kinds of things like that. So I really sort of need quite a lot of notes, and this is perfect for that. So this doesn't like strictly follow the days. It's not like I use one page per day, because like sometimes I have to like say I was making notes for the book review that I mentioned, that like took like 3 pages. So I'm not like kind of going to confine myself to like, you know, I have to write it on this day, because there also might be days where I don't have to make any notes. So I'm just sort of using it just for like free note taking and ignoring the dates. And it's kind of like balancing out, because so far we're at the beginning of May, and I've like kind of got up to so May 3rd that's where it's got up to, and we're now on like May 9th, so it's working out pretty well. I'd say it's more or less like kind of following the actual timeline. There are a lot of names in here, so I'll just show you an example. So this was a Yiddish letter that I got that I had to kind of transcribe, and so this went over 2 pages. So it's just like free notes, like thoughts on things, all kinds of stuff, notes on student presentations and things. And these, I just put these in for the video. I don't usually use these. So what I do use for bookmarks, because as you know, the Hobonichi's only got the 2 bookmarks, one, and I'm using one for the monthly spread and one for the weekly spread. So for the daily spread, I had quite a project finding the perfect bookmark, and I think I found it now, but you never know. I guess bookmark nirvana is maybe kind of like planner nirvana. It's like a bit elusive. So I first started off with these book darts. These are available on the Hobonichi website, but I got mine on Amazon. And I kind of like them, but I think that they would be better for a book, because for the Hobonichi they're extremely unobtrusive. They're lightweight, which is good. But it's kind of hard as a bookmark if you want to get to something directly. I found it like a bit sort of hard to find them. So I stopped using them, although I still like them. I think I might use them for something. At one point I was also using them to mark the week, like on the monthly spread, but now I'm using the page markers, which I think is easier because they stand out more. Then I started using these. So these I got from Amazon, and I think when I did the setup video I was using these, and I love these. They're beautiful. So you slide this on like this, and it's really pretty. But the problem is with the Tomoe River paper, it's a bit heavy, so it really like weighs the page down. And when I was using it for marking the beginning of the reference section, you can see here, I don't know if it shows up on camera, but it's kind of still like all wrinkled. That didn't really work that well. So I stopped using those, although again, I'd like to use them for something because they're really nice. So I think if I had something either with paper that I didn't care about that much, or like maybe where it was reinforced with washi tape, or like really thick paper, it would be great, because they're really beautiful. Like they have a nice smooth feel and they're pretty. So that didn't work. And then I found these. So these are cute and they work like this. I was using these for a while, but I kind of found the same problem. They kind of mark the page. Not that like I really am that particular about the pages being immaculate, because this is just that's for work, so they're going to get messy anyway. But it kind of, yeah, I don't know, marked the page a bit, and also they kept falling out. So stopped using them. And then I found these, which is what I'm using at the moment. So, for example, this is one. So these come from the Nanami Paper website. I ordered them at the same time as I ordered my Seven Seas writer, and he's got a few different bookmarks on this site which were specifically designed to be suitable for Tomoe River paper. So that was like, oh, that's exciting. So it works like this. You press this like circle in, and then that like kind of opens it, and then you can slide it around. So that works quite well because you can see, you can see from the top. It's quite visible, and yet so it's easy to find your page, and it doesn't really move around, and it's big enough. So I like these. I think these are working for now. So that's how I'm using the daily pages until the last month of the year, which I have marked for a reference section. So I thought that because I had so much space, I could use the last month worth of pages for things that I want to keep a record of all year. So like the notes section is just things that like kind of come up as I need them, and I might have to refer back to them, but that's kind of not my intention. Whereas this is for things that I can know from the beginning that I'm going to have to check back again, like students' marks, lists of like courses that are going to be taught in the department next year, like stuff that I know that I'm going to want to check again. So for example, this is like a list of languages that I want to learn or improve, and like these are the ones I'm studying at the moment, Russian and Welsh, and then like these are other ones in different categories. So I just like to check back and like think, should I take a Somali course next year and stuff like that. And I usually don't because I don't have enough time, but I like to look at it. And this is a list that like for years I've just kind of like written out this list in various places, like scraps of paper, and like kind of written it out over and over again. So it's quite nice having it in one place. And that goes sort of for the rest of the month. If I need more space for this, because I've only had this for like 2.5 months, and I've already used, I guess, about half of this month that is allocated for this, I can just sort of spread backwards into the previous month. And it's possible that I will end up with a situation where I run out of room because like the notes kind of meet the reference materials, but I don't think so. I think there's enough room for it, so I'm not really worried about that. So this brings us to the back pocket, and in here I just keep this notebook that I got from the Hobonichi shop, which is A6, also Tomoe River, perforated, and it's just really nice, like squared paper as usual, and it's very like slim, compact, and I love it. And this is where I keep all of my important information, like passwords and like bank details and stuff like that. And so I just put that in the back pocket here. And this is a sticker that I just mean to put up somewhere that I haven't figured out where to put it yet. I was thinking of putting it in the planner, but I'd kind of like to put it somewhere permanent where I won't have to get a new one after a year. And then in the back pocket I've got another one of these notebooks because they come in a pack of 3. So I'm just keeping the third one in my bag of notebooks, my notebook collection bag. But this one I got specifically for like times when I have to tear out a piece of paper to give to somebody. Because before I'd taken out the extra pages of my Moleskine Volant that I was using for notes before I got the Hobonichi, and I put it in here, but it wasn't beautiful, and this Hobonichi is so beautiful that I wanted to like kind of have an equally beautiful notebook. So I got this because these are quite cheap. Like once you're ordering stuff from Hobonichi, like this is quite cheap. So yeah, the pages are all perforated, which is why I wanted it. So if I have to like write something down for somebody, this is what I used, and that goes in the back pocket, and it's very slim, so you don't really feel it. And that's it. That's how I'm using my Hobonichi Cousin as a work planner. And thank you so much for watching. I'm really delighted to know that other people find it as much fun as I do to watch Hobonichi planning videos. And I'll be back soon with another video. Thanks. Bye.